that guy on report. Let's get the record straight from the start. I am standing. And I'll tolerate no short jokes. All right, I'm ready to speak. I graduated Northeast High School in February 41, and there was a funny word we all lived with when I was a kid, and we were all rather properly trained. It was called patriotism. And all the kids in my neighborhood went in the service, and we had tremendous numbers of losses. And I'm from 8th and Berks, if you want to know where I came from. They tore my house down to make way for slums. When I went to enlist in the Marine Corps, 4 of us went down. I was shocked when they told me I was too short. And I said, well, what can I do? Look, you hear about kids who want to be doctors, lawyers, engineers, and all. Ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to be a Marine all my life. And I was going to be a Marine. And the guy said to me, the corpsman said, you're a little short. We're going to change the height requirements, but go home and stretch in the meantime. And he said, I want you back, and like an idiot, I listened to him. He said, you come back here in 34 days, and I'll measure you, and I guarantee you'll be taken. I said, okay, corpsman. And I went home, and like an idiot, I'm hanging from a bar, my buddies are hanging on my feet, and you name it, they did. 4 guys were pulling me apart, and they did that with a lot of enthusiasm because they wanted me in the Marine. The time had passed, and my family doctor had said that in the morning, because you slept, that the packing between the cells in your spinal column are relaxed, and therefore you're taller in the morning because your body does. Right now, I'm an inch and a half shorter than I ever was. And I said, okay, and I did everything the guy said, and I had a buddy of mine put me on the back seat of his car at 6 in the morning, and we ran down to the old custom house at 2nd and Chestnut. I ran up the steps, and the corpsman's putting the key in the door, and he said, what the hell do you want? And I said, measure me. The guy told me to come back in 34 days. So he says, he told you what? I said, 34 days, said corpsman. He said, I'd be taller if I did what he told me. And I did what he told me. He said, you're in the Marines. And I went to boot camp. And we got there at 2 in the morning, and it was very exciting because it was pouring rain, and we were filthy from laying on the bottom of a train with a pot-belly stove, and we get in a flat, open-body truck to go out to the island. We landed in Yamasee, the railroad station there, and the next thing I knew, guy says, line up according to size. When he said that, I'm walking, and I'm trying to look and see who's shorter. Nobody was shorter than me. So the guy comes up to me, Corporal Cunningham, and he looks at me and goes, bam! Hits me right in the jaw, knocks me on my butt in the water, and I jump up and I said, what the hell did you hit me for? He said, I hate midgets. Hey, and I just got there. He really was a terrible person. He drove me nuts. Like we had pith helmets, and every time he walked past me with his riding crop, he'd hit me on the pith helmet. And I was walking around in the walls and everything else. It was very exciting. And I survived, and we got to the rifle range. We were the last platoon to shoot Springfield 03s before the Garans were issued. And I liked the Springfield 03. I liked that front sight, and I also liked the adjustable sight on it. And I fired high shooter in the company. So all of a sudden they want me to be a range coach rather than leave Paris Island. And I said, no, I hate all you people. And I really would rather go shoot jacks. So they said, well, how would you like to be a sniper? I said, what do you do? He said, you shoot jacks. I said, I like that. So they took me and they trained me out in California to be at Camp Pendleton area. They told me how to become a sniper. Then we went on and very uneventful. We went to, I think Bougainville was a very interesting thing. It was muddy, terrible weather and jungles and all that sort of thing. And when we were leaving there, we were on a troop ship and we were staging at this point to go to Guam. We didn't know we were going into Tinian, Saipan, or Guam at one point. And when we were on our way up there, I had no clothes. All my clothes had rotted. I had nothing. All I owned in my life was a toothbrush. I had no underwear, no socks, my shoes flapped, and my clothes were just disintegrating on me from all that moisture and just terrible conditions we were under. And 6 of us were told to get ashore at Eniwetok. There was an anti-aircraft unit there, Marine, and they would give us clothing. So the 6 of us got off. We looked like we just came out of a, what's the one in Central America, that Devil's Island? Yeah, we looked like we belonged there, the way we were dressed and all. And we're sitting on the dock waiting for a truck to pick us up. Here comes the Admiral's gig. So we stand up, and, we see Halsey, Admiral Halsey. And he's got a whole entourage with him. And lo and behold, there's a Marine Major in the crowd with him. And the Admiral goes like this to us. He comes and says, who the hell are you people? And I said, we're United States Marines, sir. He says, why do you look like this? And I said, we just came out of Bougainville and all our clothes rotted and they're going to give us new clothes here. He goes to the Major. The Major comes over and he says, okay guys, what's the problem? The Admiral says, you, to the Major, make sure these men are washed, fed, and uniformed, and tell me how you succeeded. And we're standing there, and our Marine Major, God, Sergeant was a big mean man to me, and he glared at us, this guy. He said, what the hell are you guys doing here? He said, the boat people told us to come on the dock. And the guys here would give us clothes and food and everything else. He said, well, where the hell are they? I said, the truck is coming, sir. And they did. We showered, took a hot shower, and we ate good food, and we shiny, nice new underwear and all. And I even got socks. I remember that. So I felt like a new person. As time went on, we went on to Guam, and when we got to Arodi Peninsula there, I was now a platoon sergeant, and it was a little exciting for a few days, and then everything quiets down, and you go to the beach and play volleyball. That was a good war. We knew once we took the island, it made sense. You captured the island, you secured the people there, and then you rested up. And then you went on, there was an end. It's not like Korea or Nam or any of those places where it goes on and on and on. There was a finality to it there you took. So that was fine. We were the security for a while around Arodi Peninsula where the Marine Barracks was there. And we had a lot of people in caves. And I must tell a story. We had an admiral, a Commodore he was called, who wanted to go souvenir hunting. And I looked at my officer and I said, what? He said, Ernie, you take 4 men and guard this idiot, So I said, you get people hurt and killed with this going in and out of caves and booby traps and all looking for it. I said, would he come to my tent? I'll give him the damn sword. No, I meant it dead serious. You get kids killed this way. He wanted to go bring his own stuff back. So I'm walking with a Thompson, and this guy, oh, by the way, he put 2 grenades on his belt. That's just what we needed, So I told the corporals, watch that son of a. I said, he's going to kill us all. And we see a cave with some smoke coming out, and He said, what's in there? I said, I really don't know. I said, we'll just neutralize it. So we took some thermite grenades and threw them in to shake them up because they were in there. And then we threw a couple frags in, and then I sent 2 riflemen in, not me. And they said, everything is secure in here. So we found a flag and some other stuff for the guy. I said, how about that, sir? He says, oh, I'd like to get some more stuff. So when it was all over, I said, find him a nice rifle. So I sent a kid back to our base to get a rifle from under his bed to give it to the guy. And so he was so thankful, he presented us with a bottle of whiskey, which I thought was tremendous. I don't drink. And, you know, a case of food would have been much better. But anyway, that was that, and we were scared to death of this guy. I mean, I don't mind the enemy, you know what he's going to do. This guy, we really didn't know what he was going to do. So then, as time goes by, I was recommended for a commission, and I got commissioned, and then, as you know, Korea came along, and I am sent to go to Korea, and we go in, it was very cold, and I get there, and it's late at night, and a regimental commander says, who's been in combat before? There's 7 second lieutenants there. And I go like that, and I turn around, and I see no other hands. So I'm trying to put my hand down, and he says, go up to Dog Company, all their officers are dead. So that was a great night too. And I walked all night with a bunch of Koreans, hoping they were, I didn't know where I was going, I was just following them. Luckily, we got there. And the fighting there, as you know, in Korea was rather bad. And you're a Korean veteran, aren't you? Okay. And I spent all of 51 there. And we were on the East Central Front by the Iron Triangle, and we had some heavy fighting. One of the funny incidents we had, they were just developing helicopter tactics. And the Marines came in, and here we hear all this noise behind us. We're on this forward position, and I said to my radio operator, what the hell is going on there? And we look back on the next ridge line behind us, and all these helicopters are coming in, and guys are running out, you know. I said, you know, we appreciated good maneuvering, and I said, get on radio and ask these idiots what they're doing. So he says, they're securing the hill. I said, for what? I said, we're in one in front of it. And it's the first time the recon battalion had used helicopters for the vertical assault, but they were on the wrong ridge line. So they quietly got in the helicopters and went off back to division. Korea was a tough war. We still have about 28,000 American troops there today, and they don't like us there. And wherever you go, if you stay too long, your welcome wears out. Of course, we saved their lives, but that's beside the point. I have, once I became an officer, rather, I had some very interesting duties. They sent me to escape and evasion school, where I was taken prisoner because we jumped. I became a paratrooper, and I became a master jumper, and a pathfinder, and I became scuba qualified, did all those good things. And we were sent to Sierra Nevada mountains to escape and evasion school. And it was all snow there in April. And it's great for spring skiing, but not with the way they beat us up and threw us in icy streams and all. And they worked us over very seriously and very bad, and you had to take in your mind that if you get caught, this is going to be a picnic, what these guys did to you. And they said, well, Ernie, you got to know how to act if you're captured. So I said, I'm going to run like hell. So, or I'm going to kill myself, either or. I said, I'm not going to hang around. And the training was excellent, and then I went to Green Beret School at Fort Bragg, and that was fascinating. And I was so overtrained, I had a general tell me one time that, Ernie, if you die, you've cost the Marine Corps $1 million, so don't die. So, but some of the interesting experiences I had, I was in the Middle East quite a bit. I parachuted with the Turks. I was witnessing Bright Star 82 in Egypt. I trained and jumped with the Israelis. Who else did we, and the Jordanian troops a year and a half ago, I was their guest. I parachuted with them. And you want to go with, oh, the Russians. I jumped with the Russian Spotsnets, they're commandos. And they are very interesting guys. I think they hate their mothers. The nastiest bunch of SOBs I ever met. They didn't smile. These were professional killers. They had done 2 tours of duty in Afghanistan. And the colonel there, a little bigger than me, looked like Kirk Douglas, had steel gray eyes. He said to me one day through an interpreter, well, the colonel likes you. I said, oh, you know. He said he has a surprise for you after lunch. We ate onion soup and brown bread every day for lunch. I was hoping for an onion famine there, just to get away from the onions. The food was terrible. And the Russian army that I saw, with the exception of this unit, were terrible. Don't ever fear the Russians anymore. These guys stole gas from the trucks, tires, anything was movable, they would steal. This is soldiers. Take it right out the gate and sell it. And it was really that bad. And I could have bought an airplane for like 20 bucks, I think. We're taking off in an I can't think for a moment, skip it. Little plane that takes off all 8 jumpers. And we're taking off, and as you know, the red light, maybe you don't know, this gentleman would know, the red light is 6 minutes, remember that, sir? Okay, when you're 6 minutes from target, the red light goes on, then the green light goes, you jump. So I'm standing in the door, and I noticed that the parachute was configured quite differently. Where the deployment, there was no deployment bags, it was just hooked up on the back where the canopy would deploy very quickly. And I'm standing in the door, and all of a sudden, we're just lifting off, and the colonel says to me, Pajul, jump. I said, get the hell out of here, I'm on the ground. You know, I am looking out, I'm on the ground. And he screams at me, Pajul. Oh, Christ. So out we go. I do one rock, one twist, and I wham, I hit in, and we went out at 300 feet. Oh. Now the British are developing that too for combat jumps. Now, you normally in the new jump system, we do fly nape of earth. When you're 1 minute from the DZ, you pop up to 500 feet, and everybody goes out. We want to get you out of the air as fast as we can, because we want to take that airplane, dive it back down to the terrain, so it'll get out of missile fire, ground air missiles. So now we don't play up and jump at 1,000 feet anymore. And this gentleman was talking about Holland. I was a guest for the anniversary for the Battle of Arnhem. The bridge too far, I would jump with the British, and we went in DC-3s out of Prize Norton in England, the main airfield there, and I had 2 British officers who were like 11 foot tall, each guy, and me. And they said to me, you'll go first, Ernie, of course you're senior here. I said, yes sir, I will. And we're just about over Holland, and I looked, and there was the most unbelievable sight I ever saw, like God had painted the earth. The poppies were all blooming. Miles of red, miles of yellow, miles of purple. It was just breathtakingly beautiful. So we get near the GZ and we go out and everything's fine. And then they said, you have to parade with us. And I said, I'm just a guest. So I said, the Canadian guys and the British guys here, really, it's their show. And they said, no, no, Ernie, you're our guest. You have to, and these guys are too big for me to fight with. So we parade, and all of a sudden we stop. Everything is quiet. Here comes a large sedan with a bunch of very senior Dutch officers and French officers and everything else. The door opened, it's the Queen. And I'm standing there like, what the hell am I doing here? So she's coming down, putting medals on everybody, commemorating the jump. So she gets to me and I say, excuse me, ma'am. And she says, yes. And I said, I'm a United States Marine, ma'am. I didn't fight when you were doing this war, and therefore, I'm not entitled to anything. I said, I'm just a visitor. She goes like this, no one will know. I have the medal at home. I had an experience, I'm a master jumper, sir, told me. You get these when you get 100 jumps, but I have 65 jumps with the Israelis. I observed the Six-Day War, the Yom Kippur War across the Suez Canal. I was in Beirut in 1982, and it's been exciting. And I also jumped with the Turks. The Israeli airborne forces are very unique to me. They are a little different. I'm told to jump at 12 noon. I'm an American colonel. 5 at 12, I'm standing outside the gate of the base. I start walking, and two guys with Uzis are looking and say, who are you? And I'm in this funny suit, an American suit. And I said, I'm Colonel Brydon, and I have permission to jump again with the Israeli Airmen. Oh, yes? Who told you? You know. And it's like a 4th degree here. And I said, the commanding general of the Israeli army. Oh, you know the commanding general. I said, yes, very well. So he says, who are you? I said, Butch. I said, call him and tell him Butch from Philadelphia is here. And he says, are you kidding? I said, I never kid. He says to me, Mr. Butch, come in, please. so anyway, they said to me, because of your age, you have to take a physical. I said, okay, what do you want to do, check my pressure or something? They said, no, you have to do everything on the equipment, too. I said, are you serious? They said, no. So a doctor comes out, checks my pressure, listens to my heart, says, how's your feet? I said, fine. He says, he's okay. So I did all the troops tactics and training that a normal kid would do, like an 18-year-older. And I'm jumping from a 34-foot tower, I'm sliding down a trolley, I'm in the harness hanging there like an idiot. And then I'm doing PLFs, parachute landing floors. I am exhausted. I am filthy with sand. And I said, these people are totally crazy. And all of a sudden, time is flying. I said, we were supposed to jump at 12. It's now 5 o'clock. So he said, we're waiting for a bus to come from the Golan Heights with a parachute company. They get there, and the guy says to me, I said, are we going to jump now? He said, no, we have to have dinner. I said, what do you mean you have to? You can have dinner after you jump. No, we're hungry. We're going to eat first. So the whole gang goes right into the kitchen there, and they're eating. So now it's about 7 o'clock, pitch black. And they said, we need a favor. We want to put this PAE bag on you with all the equipment. Would you mind, one of the boys got hurt, and we'd like to have the bag on the ground. So they hooked me up with the leg straps and all, and I go like this. I can't move it. I said, what the hell do you have in here? They said, it's not too much, is it? I said, I can't move. So they tell me they have a MOG in there, 7.62 machine gun. They have 2 cans of ammo and some other little things. So they're walking me up the ramp of the C-130, and I'm walking like a duck. And they're pushing me up the ramp. I could not do it myself. And they said, you're going to go out first, so sit by the door. So I fell into the seat, and I'm sitting there, and the red light's on. We're on the ground. This 6 minutes you jump, but the red light is on. And I said, your red light's on. He says, I don't know what that meant, but I just figured it's pretty important. So we take off, we make about 2 turns, pitch black at this time, and all of a sudden the guy goes like to me, says to me, 3 minutes. So they said, get up, get up. You know, they use practically the same thing, stand up, check your equipment, down them up, and go. So I'm rocking, and I cannot get out of the seat in the airplane. And I said, would you mind picking me up and taking me to the door? So they said, okay, and everybody's pushing me to the door. I'm doing this. And I'm standing by the door, and it was, we had about, I'd say, 2 minutes to go, and I said, when the green light goes, please throw me out the door. Because I didn't want to tumble at night. I really didn't. This was a pretty heavy load. So they said, throw you out? I said, throw me out. So the green light goes on, I said, throw me! And they go, wow! And out I go, and I land on, everything was fine. The moon came out, it looked like Broadway down below it. And it was a nice sandy DZ, and everything was fine. That was very strange. They're very unique too. On the daytime drops with the Israeli boys, as you land, the guy wants all his equipment back. Took my helmet, everything returned. And they said, go eat. So we ate fruit and juice and great big salami sandwiches. They're that big. But there must have been 1,000 sandwiches on this board under a shelter. So that was interesting. Jordan, I had the time of my life with the Jordanian army. Very nice little army. Let me tell you something about Jordan. The army there is very small. 74% of Jordan are Palestinians. They have a very big problem there. When I spoke to some of their general officers, they don't like Abdullah, the king now, Abdullah. They don't like his wife because she's Palestinian. Most of the career officers in the Jordanian army are Circassians. They come from Russia. Whoa, they came in Ottoman days. And they're all blue-eyed, blondish or reddish. They're not Arabs. They're Muslim, but they're Circassians. And they're the ruling elite. So one of my friends, General Kumish, is a dear friend of mine, and we were treated royally. When I say royally, I mean royally. And Prince Hamza, King Hussein and Queen Noor's son, was a jump master on our C-130 when we jumped. And he's a free faller too, so he followed us out. He went up to about 10, well, we went out at about 1,000, and he free fall for us, and he landed very nicely, toggled and all that good stuff. He did a very nice job. Not as good as Tom Morrison. Tom's good. There's many other, with the Israelis too, one of the things, I observed the fighting there in all these different times, and all I can tell you is, every bit of gear that we sell them, they improve. I mean, like 82 changes on a fighter plane, like 20 changes on the tanks with a fire suppressant that's instantaneous if it's hit by a shell. Interior puts it out. And the treads on the tank, they're all on our tanks. They're on our M1A1s. So we get good shakes for that money. Because they're going to invest it, and we give them the money. You know how that works? We give them the money. They buy the equipment here. They get it back in Israel. They improve it, and then the United States improves it to theirs. We then send it to Saudi Arabia with the improvements. It's a wild game, I'll tell you right now. But it's an interesting place. I don't know, I didn't see the television today, or I don't know what's going on. They are a democracy. There's a lot of problems there. Arafat, I don't know I'm not going to be political about anything, but Arafat, I just hope he lives to be a long old man. I do. Because I think if he dies, there's going to be terrible problems there. and I want him to stay alive for at least maybe 3 months. Okay, 4 months. I don't want him to go now, though. I really don't. What else can we talk about? Oh, thanks a lot. Okay. You know, if to discuss the Middle East, if you're going to do that, you can't discuss it intelligently until you study a map. You've got to know the terrain there. You're dealing, like all of Gaza Strip is as big as Delaware. All of Gaza. There are 1,400,000 Israeli Arabs. People don't understand that either. You've got 2 million Arabs on the West Bank. You've got about 200,000 living in Gaza. You've got about 3 million, 4 million nearly Jews living in Israel. The rest, you have Armenians, you have Christians, you have, and the Arabs. The two towns that are real tough. Oh, and another thing that upsets me. Well, I got you here. You're trapped. We locked the door. I don't like what my country's doing. I don't like that we're going all over the world. We are not world policemen. We really are not world policemen. What the hell are we doing in the Philippines? What are we doing in Yemen? What are we doing in Somalia? When I see American boys dead, being drugged through the streets of Somalia, Mogadishu, I would like to level that place. I'm not a very nice person. If they were my troops, I would have leveled these people. You can't do that. If we're going to fight, we got to fight to win. Don't waste our people. Really, that's wrong. I don't know. Once you stay in an area, the Israelis stayed in South Lebanon. There's a good one. Syria. There are 28,000 Syrian troops in Lebanon tonight. They run Lebanon. Nobody says a word about it. They sent 200,000 Syrian laborers into Lebanon for cheap labor because they didn't have work for it. And Lebanon had to take them. I mean, there are things going on that are unbelievable. But I'm looking, the American fleet always goes into Haifa now. I trained with the frogmen down at Sharm el-Sheikh, and there was a girl, a frog lady there. She was a frog lady. She had a chest on top of a chest for swimming and holding her breath and all. She was a strong lady. And they were taking Andy's diver in the harbor there and throwing anti-diver grenades in the water at night so any swimmers couldn't come in through the nets or something. So she was out there just chucking grenades. Lovely girl. Bring her home to mother, you know. And I would, if she talked to me, I said, yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am. She had muscles. But the whole area is, it's very tumultuous, to say the least. But remember, the whole attitude in people in Israel is not, what do they call them? European Jewry anymore. That's no more. They changed when all the North African Jews came there, 750,000 of them. Then you had the influx of another 1 million Russian Jews coming in. So the whole context and attitude of, by the way, I was told that the Russians make good tankers. Each group has a different capability. The army there, the Israeli army is pretty good. They're fighting a very bad situation now because they're fighting what we call MOUT, M-O-U-T, military operations, urban terrain. The most dangerous and most casually costing thing you can do. You fight in a build-up area, you're going to get people killed. Each house there, made of Jerusalem stone, is a fort. And you've got to get in there and physically work a house. They go through the front door. We don't. we would land on the roof, rappel out of a chopper, or go land on the roof and search down there. The Israelis, they go from stairwell up. And that's the way you get people killed, because somebody comes up, just chuck a grenade down the steps, and you can take 3 or 4 people out that way. So you don't do that. And yet their tanks are going down these alleys and streets, and that isn't built for tank warfare. You don't use tanks that way. Now, that was the good old days in the Russians. During World War II, the Russians would surround the town, bring all hundreds of pieces of artillery and mortars, and just blow the living hell out of it. And when they leveled the place, then they let the ground troops go in, and the armor surrounds it. So that's the way you would fight in a build-up area. But things are changing, and they're doing the best they can. I don't know. I don't know what the headline said yet. I understand that they may be moving out of certain areas, and not. I'll tell you what. I had a map here, but it's rather small. You got to realize that this is Amman, Jordan, and this is Jerusalem. It would take me 1 hour by car to go from Amman, Jordan, to Jerusalem. It'd take you 4 minutes by aircraft to do it. So everything is very close there. I don't know. The artillery there, if they have a Palestinian state, which I really believe they will, there's got to be a compromise on property. The west side would probably be all Arab, and then I would think that moving the people from the settlements on the west side back into Israel. It would be an exchange. After World War II, 45 million people were exchanged. Different places, Bangladesh, new countries created, and what have you. So that situation will go on and on. If you don't settle it, now, the biggest mistake, this is my personal opinion, the Arabs made was not taking General Barak's offer at Camp David that time. I thought they were sharper than they are. I would have said, I got it, you got it, I'll take it. Then from there, if you want to keep fighting, I'm way ahead of the game. You move me in without firing a shot. I'm walking in like a gentleman. I'm taking 92% back. Now I'm looking at the 88%. The truth of the matter is, I don't believe that Arafat can ever permit an agreement with Israel. Because once you do that, then he's saying, Arafat's saying, then Israel is a legitimate country and it will stay in these confines. That's not what they say. They don't want Israel there. Period. Somebody stole my mic. Okay. They won't. As a good Muslim country, they don't want them. They're going to get rid of the Jews, they'll get rid of the Christians, and then they'll be happy because it'll be an all-Muslim country. But it's a tough thing, and this isn't going to die right away. And I hope the northern border, up here on the Lebanese border, that might start up soon, I'm sure. I cannot believe you see, in the south you have Hamas. In the north you have Hezbollah. The one is controlled by Iraq and the other is controlled by Iran. And they're both funding them. And they're using new mortars now, the Hezbollah, on the Lebanese border. One of the biggest mistakes Israel ever made, and I told it to some of their people, that you guys, when you pulled out of Lebanon at night, you said to the Arab world that Hezbollah drove you out. And it was a marvelous psychological victory for Hezbollah. And they are the heroes now in the north. You don't move out in the dark. You move out daylight, flags flying, pride, make sure the press is covering you, saying this is why we're doing this. But they didn't. They thought they were saving lives. And I don't agree. And I'm a nobody, so it doesn't matter, but I'm just giving my opinion. Any questions? Sir?
Thank you, Colonel, for being who you are and what you've done for Jerome pretty well.
No, sir. I met him and I spoke to him.
What?
He's bigger than me.
Yes, he is.
He's big. Yes, sir.
But you're here and he's not.
That's right.
So, how would you assess him as a military leader and as a politician?
Sometimes Eisenhower loved to go in the press room with all the military people and sit down and talk. That was his favorite hobby. War stories, war stories. Love war stories. Most military men make terrible politicians. They really do. They don't think politically. They think militarily. When you serve 40, 50 years of your life with the military, your mind is trained. You're conditioned. I met him when he commanded Battalion 101, when they went in the Jordanian raids. And he was a tiger. He was good. But he's now a politician. Now it's a different method, different message.
Does his experience as a cabinet officer and a minister without portfolio help him?
No. Sharon is Sharon. He believes that there should be an Israel, and Israel will live. And he will go to any length to see that Israel's there. I mean, no ifs, ands, but yes, miss. Oh, it's my wife. I knew you looked familiar.
The citizens of
Just spend
Israel,
any time in the Persian Gulf.
One moment.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No problem. It's only my wife. Yes, ma'am.
the citizens of Israel have always voted for security first, and therefore have always voted, their prime ministers have always been military men.
Yeah, well, if they don't exist, there's no country that's all over. But they favor military leaders. They do. Because they feel that they will see that they're safe. Okay. Yes, ma'am. Persian Gulf.
Did you spend any time in the Persian Gulf?
No. I did spend, I was in Beirut, though. Oh, my wife says, the Marines will like this one. You ready for this one? I know the Middle East very well. And I mean, from Turkey all the way over, I've walked all through that area. I know every ridgeline on some of these places. And I must say this, during the fighting in the '73 war, when I crossed the Suez Canal, I was in a sport shirt and slacks. And I had a wonderful agreement with these guys. I said, I'm here just as a guest. I said, whatever I see, I will tell my general. I put that right on the table. And they said, Colonel, whatever you see, you can tell your general. And we had a wonderful agreement. We were anxious, and we are anxious. We give them a lot of equipment, and we want to see how it works. You remember the Spanish Civil War? The Germans gave the Spanish people all the airplanes and tanks and all, and they developed their dive bombing in those days, if you know history in the 30s. It's much easier for us to give them mortars and other things and let them use them in live conditions. It's not so nice at times, but it saves wear and tear. I'm concerned about American boys. That's I'm an American, I worry about American boys. Okay, sir, you're the camera person, you keep quiet.
Today, talk about the warrior spirit. I don't remember that term in World War II. I was in the 1st Marine Division. But could you compare the effectiveness, that's not the word I want, the spirit of combat troops in World War II with what's going on today? Are we okay? Or
Were you a Marine, you said?
Yes, I was.
Oh, well.
I'm not
I'm going to have to
referring
answer you
just
correctly.
I'm in the Army also.
Okay. Oh.
Sorry about that.
You ruined the whole thing. Okay. The kids today, I think the Marine Corps is as good today as ever. We had a slump, a bad slump. And I marched a whole platoon, 37 people, into the brig one day. And I wanted them to be in step. The sergeant says, what happened? I said, you ticked me off. I said, are you in charge of this detail? He says, yes, sir. I said, you're under arrest too. I said, get in line with them, march to the brig, and I'll meet you all there. And he marked 32, and I got the brig officer calls me up, a warrant officer, and says, "Sir, I've got a whole platoon out here." I said, "Yep, throw their asses in jail." And that's what we did, because they were not very nice Marines. I had trouble that time. Now we're really picking the best. To be a Marine officer today, with my exception, you have to walk on water. I'm telling you, it is very tough to be a United States Marine officer. They are looking for the best. Our kids are good. They are warrior spirited today. I'm terribly proud. I would love to lead them into battle. Eye binoculars from another boat or something.
Can you describe the crucible? I didn't go through that.
Well, it's 2 days of really coming out. No, 3 days.
At the end of boot camp, isn't it?
Yeah, it's at the end of the boot camp. We molded you. We took you out of all your civilian stuff and your mommy hooded and all that stuff. Ain't no mommy, ain't no poppy. And we want to make it so rough for you. We want to see what you got when you have nothing left. And that's the difference between a Marine and a nurse. I'm sorry. And a soldier. Sorry, sir. The airborne's a little different. Yeah, what was your question? What, ma'am?
Why don't you share the stuff you brought, the flags and everything? They're so cool.
Oh. I have in a Williams-Sonoma bag. Okay. One time I was over there a few years ago, and I got in the middle of some riots. And in those days, it wasn't Hezbollah and all that stuff. The Communist Party was the big mover in the Middle East at that time. So I got some of the flags, and I brought them home, and they're nice. And I took all these things, and they took one kid under arrest. He had Molotov cocktails now, and he was wearing this so you wouldn't see his face. I have something in green, blue, whatever you want. No. Then the other interesting thing that I felt, this is a rubber bullet that the police used to shoot at him. Oh, I watched a maneuver up near the Jordanian border one time, an Israeli battalion, and I said to them, "Do you use blank cartridges?" This brigade commander. And he looks at me with an astonished look, and I felt like an absolute ass. He says to me, "Colonel, no Arab shoots at us with blanks." That was his answer. So then he threw these stones at me, and I picked them up. Now, you never see adults in an Arab riot. You only see kids, because the cameras will cover the kids. And then you got the David and Goliath thing, where it switched. The kids are David and the Israelis are the Goliath now. So times change. But ladies and gentlemen, if I hit you with this, I'll kill you. And in front of some of the houses, there's little baskets of these. So when the kids riot, they can pick up extra ones and throw them. So it's just, I don't know how we're going to straighten that out. How do you take that hate out? Is it going to be to give them their property, give them a state? Will the leadership there then say you've got to stop hating? Or I think you're going to find a huge fence around Israel after some movement. And just like up in the north, it's pretty quiet there. And before, they used to have the Latonic. Thank you for reminding me about that. I'm never coming back here again. Any other questions? Sound off. Sir. Anybody? Sir.
You said you were trained to be a sniper. Can you share a little about that?
Well, you wear a ghillie suit and different terrain. You had to creep up and not be seen. I'll give you a sniper trick. I was in Hong Kong with the Gurkha troops, the British Gurkha troops in Hong Kong. I had been around. And we were talking about shooting and all that, and I said, well, when I was enlisted, man, I did some sniping. So they said, okay. And there was a big discussion, and after lunch, we go out in this big field, and the guy said, there's a machine gun on you. You're an old sniper. Find it. And here I got 4 little Gurkhas with me, who very British, very excellent soldiers. And they gave me a kukri, the knife, the curved knife. If they take that off, they're going to kill you. They take it out. They have to kill you. So I'm looking, and I said, well, there's your machine gun. And they said, there's also a rifleman aimed at you. And I'm scanning. As you know, you sweep very slowly and you scan area. And I'm checking, and I couldn't find them. And the sergeant major, this little sergeant Gurkha major, he goes like this to me. He's there. And God's got a rifle looking right at me. And I said, I'm getting old. But it was excellent. And you're not allowed to shoot everybody. You don't waste a shot on a single man. You're like officers, NCOs. Seriously, if you're gonna do some good shooting, you save your bullets for a good kill shot, and you take out an officer back. Any other questions? Sir?
May I ask when you retired, sir?
1980, sir. I went in 42. It's quite a feat. I'm older than dust right now. Any other questions? Sir, what do you want?
752 on your first sergeant.
Oh, I forgot. Thank you very much. Marine side. Here we go. I get to Korea. Things are settling down. And all of the sudden, who walked into my bunker? Corporal Cunningham, who's the DI to beat the hell out of me. He's now the new first sergeant. I'm his boss. All I could think then was, thank you, Jesus. It's good even time. No, in all fairness, he was an excellent first sergeant. But I hated him. He was a big, lanky kid. And all he ever used to do to me, every time there was like some new officers in, he'd walk over to me and pick me up like that and said, I taught him in boot camp. And I used to say, let me down, you big SOB, you know. But he was excellent.
Do you have anything to do with Chesty Puller?
I knew Chesty very well, thank you. And he was my kind of man. He could never be a politician. Oh, he said anything. He was at a banquet in Richmond, Virginia. When we were at Quantico one time, we went down to act as security for him. And he's at the bar, and he's getting drunker and drunker. And this colonel, I was a major, and the colonel walks over to me and says, don't let the press get near him. I said, yes, sir. And just then, he gets on the microphone, and he says, first thing we got to do is kill all the goddamn Chinese chinks. And I went, oh, my God. And all the press it was all over the news. The commandant of the Marine Corps screamed at the colonel. The colonel screamed at us. No, but he was super. His son, very sadly committed suicide. He lost his
combat with him?
No, sir. He lost his legs and he lost a hand. He went to law school and his wife left him, and he became very depressed and he killed himself. Any other questions? Sir?
Were you in Churchill Reservoir?
No, sir. I was in the spring counteroffensive in '51. I had a lot of friends. The good Lord was good to me, that one. My appendix burst.
Oh.
And all the guys who I should have gone with had a terrible time there. One of my dear friends, Lieutenant Seeberger, got a Navy Cross. But he stood back there and let his troops pull back, and he covered them, and he slowed down a couple major attacks. And he was wounded seriously himself, and he was awarded recently, about a year ago, in fact, the Navy Cross. Well deserved. Any other questions? Sir?
Was Shepard the commandant at that time?
Yep. Lemuel Shepard. I'm standing in front of my company, and Lemuel with very southern accent. And he said, "How the boys doing, Lieutenant?" And I'd say, "General, they're doing fine, sir." He said, "Let's go talk to the boys." So I'm standing in front of him, and he got in front of the one guy he shouldn't have asked the question. And he said to this kid, "How's the food here?" I can't tell you what this kid said, because this place would be a parking lot. Listen, he looked up at the general and he said, "General," I'm cleaning it up. He said, "General, the food's wonderful here. I guess these guys have never been hungry." And the general said, "Uh-huh." That's always, and just kept walking. And then he asked one kid, "How do you like it here?" That was the second heart attack I had that morning. The kid says to him, "Are you crazy, General? I hate this goddamn place." But, any other questions? Anybody else? All right, this has been, what do you want? Okay. Oh, yeah, I'm going to finish with this story. I'm in Vietnam. In '99, we were guests of the French for the Battle of Dien Bien Phu. Now, the French got the living hell kicked out of them there, and they are the worst soldiers in the world, and I hope we never go to their aid again. Any other nice things I can say about the French? Okay. We're in a helicopter, and we have an interpreter, and I've got a Vietnamese. There's no one that's together in Vietnamese now. We're talking about '99. I'm in Hanoi. The French guy with me was wearing a kepi, a white little Foreign Legion cap. I have never seen such hatred in the eyes of the Vietnamese as when they saw this guy with that cap. They glared. I cannot express to you the hatred that came out of, they hated the French so. They were so misused by the French there. And we get in that Russian helicopter, and they said, "Colonel, you're the jump master." I said, "Okay." I said, "Let's go jump." And the wind is howling. I'm estimating 20 to 25 knots. And in training jumps, you jump about 15. And I'm looking at the smoke on the ground or whatever I could find, and just to give me a little wind direction and wind velocity. And the smoke is laying right on the deck. So I figure, oh, you know, it was a bad day. So the general, I said to the interpreter, "Tell the general there's too much wind. We'll wait to do it later this afternoon. His last light, we'll do it when it quiets." And the general goes, and he takes his parachute off. And I said, "Are we canceling up?" He said, "No. General say, you Marine Colonel and Frenchman jump." He no jump, too much wind. Now, I'm a Marine Colonel. I am not going to be chicken in front of a couple of those people, or the Frenchman, so he had to go too. So we get there, and I said, "Okay, come around again." We go around, I go out, and I look, and my canopy is going, whoa! I am going, I'm flying. And I should be going, and I'm going, whoop! And I figured, you're going to get killed. So I'm putting my legs, I'm pulling the risers and all down, I'm putting my legs through them, trying to turn the canopy to brake. And I am really coming in hard and fast. And I hit, and I'm cartwheeling down in front of the people that are watching us. I would have ended up in Cambodia if two people didn't grab, two Vietnamese guys grabbed my canopy and pull it for me and spill it. I really could not. Every time I came up and jumped and tried to grab the lines, whoa! I am going. It was really very, sadly enough, one of the guys that jumped on, not my aircraft, but another, he came down, a big guy, And he hit between two rice paddies, the little bit of trail where they had that mud hut where you can put the gear in, and he comes down, he hits that like a cartoon. Whoa! And all you saw was the imprint. And the next thing you see is the guy go back. I'm breaking up. I thought it was the funniest thing I ever saw. And no, the guy got hurt. Oh, she hurt. Oh, he went out like a light. Oh. But it was, I have a funny sense of humor. Okay. Oh, may I just tell you this story? It's time to go in.
No.
Oh, no? Oh, I'm sorry.
Keep talking.
You want me to sweep the floor? I am in 29 Palms, California, our desert training center there. And I'm writing a book on how to fight in the desert for the Marine Corps, regimental level. And I get a call from the general. Ernie? Whoa, he never called me that in his life. Colonel all the time. He says, the Undersecretary of the Army is coming today to visit. He would like to parachute. He says, what can you do about it? I said, nothing, sir. Dead silence. He said, what the hell do you mean, nothing? I said, sir, I don't have any parachutes. I thought that was a good answer. He said, well, what do we do about it? I said, get a fighter, send it to Santa Ana. There's a recon unit out there. Let's pick up some chutes there. I'll rig a 53, and we'll jump out of the tailgate of 53. A helicopter, the big one from Willow Grove, you know. They're on active duty now, by the way, you know.
The Stallions?
Yep, they moved out. Okay, and next thing you know, we send a fighter plane to Santa Ana, and about an hour later, we've got all the gear, and I'm fixing everything. Here comes the Undersecretary of the Army. Snotty ass. And I said, sir, you know, welcome aboard. The general asked me to jump after you, and I'd be delighted. When's the last time you jumped? And he said, well, I jumped about a year ago. I said, have you ever jumped an MC-1-1 where we can slip the risers and all? He said, no, but I'm sure it's no problem. Whoa. So, no. Ladies and gentlemen, if I'm the jump master, I am responsible for what's in the back of that aircraft and who goes out of it. I am the safety officer. I am responsible. And I take that job very seriously. And I said, sir, you're going to have to do a couple PLFs for me, parachute landing falls. He says, I'm not doing that. I said, sir, then we're done for the day. I am not letting you jump out of my berth. So anyway, at that point, he acquiesced to that. So I put a barrel there. We threw him up on top of the barrel, and I said, jump off. And did terrible PLFs. His feet were apart, he's banging around. And so I'm shaking my head, and I said, well, he just breaks an ankle, I'll be all right. So I said, we put him in the airplane, and I hook it up, ready to go. And I said, what we're going to do, I had two recon kids. I said, I want you to walk off the ramp. We have a clamshell in the back, and it comes up, and then a ramp goes, and the ramp is part of it. And I said, walk off the ramp, and when you reach, as I said, just tuck your head, bend your knees, and walk. Don't do a vigorous exit like you would from a DC-3 or something in a door position and hop out, you know. So everything's understood. We fly around, and I said to the two kids, you two guys walk out, and I said, if you touch anything, I'm going to break your arms. Just drift with the wind. I want to find out where they land so I can correct on my next pass. So they did exactly what I told them, and they landed nicely. And I said, all right, sir, jump, run, here we come. I said, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. He goes up. Whoa! He starts running, hits the damn clamshell, falls on his ass, and at that point, I'm looking at him and I said, oh, get off my ramp. And I kicked him right off the ramp. So then the crew chief goes like this to me. I said, why did I do that? He was so stupid, I just couldn't control myself. And we land, and I followed him out right away. I went right out, the chute opened. He came down, he landed all right. And I come down and I looked at him and I said, sir, you great landing. And he says, Ernie, great jump. Thank you very... He never knew he fell in the ring. I really believe the adrenaline was pumping so hard on him, he really didn't remember it. Then here comes the general with lights. So I figured, my butt's in trouble, you know. So he goes like this to me. So I said, yes, sir, what's up? He says, is he alive? And I said, he's fine, sir. He said, Ernie, did you kick him off the ramp? He said, the pilot called us and told us you kicked him off the ramp. So I said, I had to, sir, because I had to get out. So he goes like that. He says, he's okay, though? I said, I'm sorry. And the guy invited me and the general to lunch. That's the end of my